Hey guys, this is Mitch, and we are back to wrap up the Torment storyline, maybe through more curiosity, in Spider-Man number 5. So just before we get into it, if you enjoy the channel, if you feel like you might want to support me a little bit as an artist, what you can do in the description, there's a couple of links. And if you go subscribe on my Patreon, that gives you access to all of these videos before they make it to YouTube, as well as all of the Blood Force stuff. Also, if you go over to my Instagram, commissions there are now open. Also, I'm taking part in Inktober this month, so might as well go over and check those out. So, Spider-Man number 5. Okay, so, in case you missed it, what has happened so far? Okay, the Lizard has run amok and has murdered 6 people in New York. Spider-Man was looking into it. He found the Lizard, and turns out the Lizard is being controlled by Calypso. Calypso is somebody with ties to Craven. He met her when she was a girl, and she learned voodoo, and they were in love, and now she don't like him no more. I mean, that's realistic at least. But she's gonna hunt down one of his old foes, Spider-Man. We don't know why. So Spider-Man fights the Lizard. He gets poisoned by some voodoo spell stuff during his fight with the Lizard. So he's like hallucinating, and he's like, I suppose dying. They keep calling it poison, so it must be killing him. And he keeps getting beat up by the Lizard. He gets beat up by the Lizard for about 3 issues. So this must be the issue where something happens, right? Like, this has to be the one. Who wants to place their bets? Not I said something, something, something. So let's start with the cover. I mean, why not? The cover is... This is the book, right? This is like, let's get a splash page going. So the last issue ended with the house that Calypso was living in. Probably not legally. I don't think there's a tenants agreement or anything there. Exploded because gas lines hit the candles. That's why you don't like candles in your house. I'm an insurance agent. I know this shit. Okay, maybe candles are okay. Braziers, no. So, this is Spider-Man having been beat up, having had a house collapse on him, with all sorts of poison. No boobly boobs, so maybe not that poisoned anymore. And trying to push his way up through it. Probably trying to rise above it all. I bet you he's doing that. Excellent cover. Maybe the best one we've seen. No, maybe not. I think number 3 is probably the best one so far. I like the weird collage-y stuff. It's kind of atypical, and it's the amount of blood on there is quite weird for Spider-Man, but it feels menacing, and it's not a usual Todd cover. I think I like this cover the best, but this is probably the runner-up. All right, so naturally we're going to start things off with 5 vertical panels. We are going to switch it up a little bit, though, because these panels actually refer to what's going on in the story a little bit. This is the New York City, or a New York City police precinct. We're not sure which one. And they're reacting to the building that Spider-Man was in exploding. So that's something. And they're going to go rush to the scene. That is a very good way to use your first page. That's like a B+. That's like, good job. This nose, I don't know what the fuck was going on here. Like, these vertical panels is what Todd does. You think he'd know how to draw a nose with very limited space, but, I don't know, maybe he forgot for a second, because that looks fucking awful. And we're gonna, okay, so police officers rush to the scene, and now we're gonna spend, like, 5 fucking caption boxes talking about the smoke from the explosion. Why? Because we need something to rise above it all. So we're going to get a belabored metaphor. Why not, right? And we get the traditional double-page splash to open things up. It's quite good. So Spider-Man has survived, obviously. Nobody really expected anything else. And he's kind of perched among the rafters. And so we hear that it'll be 4.5 minutes before the fire trucks arrive. So he's basically got to kind of keep his little area inside the collapsing building from crushing him for 4.5 minutes. That's fine. That's fine if you use it in the story. I don't think they really do, though. You'd have to be a pretty good writer to pull this off, I think. To have, like, and have it be, like, most of the book. Be like a countdown while you're describing the crushing sensation, failing hopes, maybe a little bit of origin, a little bit of reflecting on past events, and that we're going to get a little bit of that. Not really executed as well as it needs to be to have it be the full issue, which it kind of turns out to be. And we're going to focus on the fact that Spider-Man doesn't know why he's being attacked by Calypso, and make it a big deal out of it. So obviously Todd is going to explain to us why Calypso is attacking Spider-Man. I mean, you can't deny everything here is kind of awesome, and it's got the depth that Todd likes, where he's adding layers with these cross beams here. He's also got chains, so part of putting up a building is running chains up through the walls. Not a real reason for that, other than it's going to pop up later in the story. And Spider-Man's got that hockey player ass just jutting out there. All right, so cutting back here, this is the exterior of the burning house. They do mention, so the crowd that's gathering, we don't see them, but we're told that they're there. They're wondering, why is this happening? Kraven the Hunter is dead. Who would want to destroy his home? As far as I know, this is the first mention that this is Kraven the Hunter's home. I didn't recognize it from Kraven's last hunt. Maybe because it was always silhouetted when Todd drew it. That might have had something to do with it. So I wonder if somebody, if an editor kind of spoke up in his ear a little bit about that. So we're getting here that Spider-Man is sweating like a pig, which is a little like, I don't know, I read that, it takes me out of it for a second. I'm like, ew, dude, like, keep it to yourself. And he's got to get home to make it home to Mary Jane. So we get here's Spider-Man perched up in the rafters. It's pretty good stuff, although, I mean, like, he should be cooked if he's that close to the fire. Fire's always an interesting one to see how people decide to render it. Because it's not really, it's not a physical object, so it's always kind of a choice to see what people decide to do for it, right? It's basically just light. I feel like we all kind of go with similar solutions. This kind of like half liquid, half gas. All right, and we're going to cut to Mary Jane. And she's making her way home from, I think, the second party she went to tonight. The one where she was, like, doing all sorts of fucking blow in the bathroom. I didn't mention that, really. But there's that one shot where she's powdering her nose. And she's, like, just about giddy. And it's like, man, that is not foundation. That is just, you were really into your cocaine and you missed. So she's trying to make it home in a cab while fire department and cops are zooming around her. And we get another awkward transition. Be nice just to cuddle up to him. Maybe even get a little hot. Oh, he's already a little hot. When you think rim shot instead of, like, resonance. Ooh, alliteration. I like that. I don't think you pulled it off quite. And we're going to get Spidey still stuck up in the rafters. And Todd wants to keep him here until the authorities show up. So we're going to talk a little bit about what happened in the last issue. About how he was fighting with the lizard. And there were fire pots that got turned over and ruptured the gas line. And I guess you might as well talk about that. That was the only fucking thing that happened in like the last 3 issues. And then there's Calypso. And I don't know anything about her. I don't even know that her name's Calypso. And we get this is like a classic Spawn shot. They did have something similar to this earlier in the storyline, and I believe I called it out at that time. But yeah, the big profile shot, and here's the antagonist, or just whatever character the protagonist is thinking about at the time. That's a striking image, and I mean, he's not wrong. It's a good page. Todd overuses it a little bit. And I mean, you don't see any backgrounds in this page, right? And it's like, how long did this really take? Probably not that long. So maybe that had a little bit to do with why this is here. It's not describing anything other than to show this is the woman that's been tormenting. Get it? Spider-Man. And we don't know anything about her. So we must be learning it soon. I mean, this is page 8 here. So, I mean, we're going to have to learn pretty soon, man. You better, like step on the accelerator a little bit. And then amongst the rubble, the lizard's hand pops up. Or at least I assume it's the lizard and not the lizard's, like, developmentally challenged hillbilly cousin. That's, like, the worst drawing I've seen Todd do of the lizard in this series. I mean, it's okay. He'll fix it. Like, he'll do better ones later. But it's like, man, you just didn't want to fix that one, eh? So, yeah, they're still alive. Doom, 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 doom. That's the sound of the poison. Cut back to Mary Jane. Still making her way home. Almost gets run over by a police car. Or crashed into. That's a very good shot. With these speed lines. Even the use of the color. I like how it ends up. It's a nice choice. Because that's got to be a little difficult on the colorist if you get that. Where there's no background, there's just speed lines. Like, what do the speed lines even indicate? Do I leave it black and white? I think this is a good solution. By the way, nothing has happened in this issue so far. Like, nothing at all. So, page 10. Calypso starts reading the room. Kind of. Not to the extent where she realizes she's in a comic book that's not really a story and isn't really aimed at the audience it should be aimed at. But she's reading the room for Spider-Man. And it's a nice collage page that ultimately does nothing. Very interesting choices for what to show in pan. Like, look at this. Like, okay, this is, yeah. Calypso reaches out and she's like, feeling the air. And we're going to close up while she concentrates. And then close up on her mouth, close up on her hair, close up on her hand. To just, I don't know. I like it as just an overall collage kind of feel. It doesn't accomplish anything, but just for it's going for mood, and it feels like it doesn't quite get there. But I like the attempt on that one, I guess. If you don't have a story, I guess just giving you different kinds of pages, that's something. And she's able to home in. Oh, we get more vertical panels. She's able to home in on the poison in Spider-Man's blood. Or so she says anyway. Like she hears him, or hears the poison, right when sweat or water or gas, it's probably not in gas, that probably all got burned up, drips on the lizard. So that didn't accomplish a whole lot. But I guess it built anticipation. Was that what it did? That must have been what it did. And then Spider-Man has had enough. He's going full splash page on the lizard's ass now. It's fine looking, although the only thing is that, okay, what was he doing all this time? Because he's able now to leap down and jump on the lizard, right? And they're going to have a big old swinging around fight. So what was he doing? Was he just trapped? So he stayed in the rafters where all the heat goes? That must... Okay. That's some logic. Is it... Okay, so he went in the rafters because that's where Todd could get the most interesting images. That seems more likely. But, I mean, there was a while there where the lizard and Calypso hadn't busted out of the rubble yet. Apparently, he didn't have to be up there. So you think he would have been looking to, I don't know, make an exit or something. And this pose, I don't know about this pose. It's not like comic book heroic. There's no twisting to it. In fact, he's all, like, kind of the opposite. He's all crunched up. It's fine, and it's not, it's always nice to get a good Todd splash page. It's not like he's skimping on this. And I love me some Marvel Series 1. I would love to get, like, a box of Marvel Series 1 cards. But yo, they're so expensive. But so good. That's what got me into comics, was these fucking cards. Or at least partially. Alright, so it's time for the knockdown drag out. There's a good picture of Lizard. We knew he had another good one in him. He maybe used it all up. This is okay. Not as good though. That's the good stuff. And again, focusing on why. Why am I being attacked? So obviously we're gonna find out the why. And we're pointing out that the Spider-Man has become unglued, which is like Todd's version of hitting the nitro button. That's all you need to do to win, is to become unglued. I feel like Spawn did that a few times. I feel like it's happened before in Spider-Man, when Todd's writing. I don't know, I could be wrong on that one. But this seems like a very Todd thing. Just, you get pushed to the limit, and then your mind snaps and you win, because you got strong plus crazy. It's unbeatable. It's also boring as balls. But, anyway, great shot. We're still not learning why. I don't even know what page we're on anymore, but I think we're close to like 15. Oh, good, Mary Jane's getting home. I was worried about her. And she's thinking about the close shave she just had with that cop car, and like, man, Peter lives with this every day. Okay, good job. Oh, look, he's having a near-death experience as we speak. And the Lizard is again about to kill Spider-Man, and Calypso calls him off because the poison should have killed him by now, but it didn't. So he didn't have enough poison, or the poison wasn't strong enough, because Spider-Man's got a little extra durability because he's Spider-Man. So she wants the poison to kill him, I guess. Sure. And one more time we get, just tell me why. And her silence taunts him. And Todd switches to, you wasted enough time here and gotta escape and figure this out later. So Todd just gave up on why. Right there. He doesn't have a reason. This is, Spider-Man's gonna fight the Lizard for 5 issues, and Calypso's gonna look creepy. And we don't get a resolution, really. We don't get a master plan. We don't get motivation. But why would you need motivation in a conflict, right? Just they fight because he's a hero and she's the villain. He's a Spider-Man. Spider-Man leaps for the wall. That's a good shot. I like that one quite a bit. Again, design sense. Todd always has a good sense of when to use a silhouette. Or like a semi-silhouette. Lizard leaps after him. Oh, here are those chains. We haven't seen them in a while. But luckily, he jumped into the corner with the chains. That's handy. Oh, that's not a good time to use a silhouette, in my opinion. So, Lizard leaps at him. Spider-Man throws the chains at him, which supposedly snaps his neck. And now the Lizard's dead. And Spider-Man basically just won. I feel like he should have a sign on him that says, I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream, or something like that. Yeah, Todd kind of liked this image, didn't he? So that wasn't exactly clever, particularly since there's no reason for those chains to be there. And Spider-Man turns back to Calypso, and she basically uses her voodoo magic to suck the remainder of the house in on her. But she's going to escape anyway, undoubtedly. And this is a great shot of Calypso. I kind of just wish I gave a shit. Spider-Man's able to escape the falling debris, and he zooms away while the authorities get to clean up the mess. Again, this page is fantastic, just as a total overall thing. But there's no reason to read it. You know? This is the whole thing where just, again, these are all pages that were drawn and then written, it feels like. Certainly we don't learn anything from the narration. So then, when they're searching out the place, they didn't find any bodies. including the lizard. Spider-Man zooms his way home and goes down the skylight that is over their bathroom that has been used before. Or later, I suppose, than this anyway. Eric Larson used that in The Revenge of the Sinister Six. And goes, "Honey, I'm home." And that's it. Because we don't see anything with Spider-Man reuniting with Mary Jane. Even though that was his focus for, again, the last 3 issues. And we're going to get some stuff about how being a hero makes you a target, unprovoked attacks. That's why that happened. It's unprovoked. Because he's a hero. He's a man. A Spider-Man. Oh, and blah, 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 rise above it all. Again, fine-looking page that got written later. Oh, Doom. One last Doom. For good measure. And that is that. Man. It's funny because people talk about this series. Or do they? No, they talk about Spider-Man #1 because Spider-Man #1 set the record. Nobody ever talks about Spider-Man 2 through 5, and now I guess I kind of know why. It's all very good-looking stuff. And that's all it is. But it's also very good-looking stuff that sold hundreds of thousands of copies of comics. Which is why Todd was allowed to continue it and just be self-indulgent throughout the entire thing and wasn't assigned a writer, I think. Should have been. Really should have been. But it didn't happen. It might have been nice if, you know what would have happened if they'd assigned him a writer? He would have thrown a Todd tantrum and been out of there in issue 10 instead of issue 16. That's exactly what would have happened. That's an interesting parallel universe to think about. Where, Marvel actually holds its ground and insists Todd take on a writer. Todd goes, "Fuck you guys. I'm all trailblazy." And he goes off on his own, quits comics, because there's nobody around already setting up this rival comic company. By which I mean Rob Liefeld and Eric Larson and Jim Valentino. There's nobody there for him to hook up with. So he's just on his own, and he goes, "Fuck this, I'm going to put my money into trading cards, and I'll figure something else out." And then maybe he joins up with Image later. But he can't claim that he started Image that way. But, yeah, that would be... And then, without Todd there, do they actually start up a new company? Or do they just do some work for rival publishers for a little while and, watch the Marvel sales tank? And then, come back in 6 months and be like, "So, how about those t-shirts?" Because that's the whole deal, right? Is that they were complaining that they didn't get any, there were royalties and there were bonuses, but the Image guys felt that they weren't good enough considering how much of the product they were moving. They were probably right about that. And they also bitched about the fact they didn't even get the t-shirts or toys that they're, were showing their artwork. It's like, can we have a t-shirt? It's like, no, you have to get it through the store. So yeah, if Todd's on his own while Rob and Eric and Jim go do their own independent thing, because if they're doing that, if they're not starting a company, they're not bringing in Mark Silvestri or Jim Lee, right? Or Will Sportasio. So do those guys keep towing the line? I bet they do, because they took some convincing. Mark Silvestri might still quit, because apparently he was close to the breaking point, where he was just kind of done with comics. And you see it with Cyberforce. He does the 4-issue miniseries. He does a good dozen issues of Series 2, or so. It might even be more than that. And then that's it, and he's done with comics. Pretty much, except for every once in a while he gets nostalgic and he does a cover, or he does Batman Joker, or he does Uncanny X-Men for 4 issues. Yeah, it's an interesting parallel Earth to think about for a second. Unfortunately, we got stuck in this one, where no editor was willing to tell Todd, "Hey Todd, you can't write for fucking shit." So I think what we can gather from this series is that, one, Todd is an excellent artist, which I'm sure is something you needed to be reminded of. I actually do need to be reminded of it from time to time, having missed out on his Incredible Hulk run and most of his Amazing Spider-Man stuff. I actually had the odd issue when I was a kid, but it didn't really mean anything to me. It didn't resonate. And the early Spider-Man stuff, most of what I saw was later Spider-Man, like this series, when I feel like he was losing interest and getting frustrated, and the beginning of Spawn, where he's already getting bored. It doesn't take long. And not to mention that, but also trying to juggle a company and trying to set up other interests, like a fucking trading card company. It feels like his heart wasn't in Spawn, really. At least not after, like, issue 1. But, as an artist, like, in his prime, Todd's got great instincts. And he's got the perseverance to stick on a page and just noodle all fucking day. And he does it at a good clip, too. And, just a shit ton of talent. Because I don't think that Todd ever had any formal training, from what I understand. This is mostly stuff that is self-taught for him, I believe. I could be wrong on that. But, as an artist, no, Todd, this series at least does uphold his legacy for that. As a writer, for the love of God, keep him away from a keyboard. Because, no, he just can't do it. And we would see it again later in Spawn. He has no ideas. He wants to make comics that are cool and doesn't have a way to do that. So he's just going to do it fucking anyway. Anyway. That's going to do it for this one. Okay, so next week, what are we doing? I think we're doing some Shadowhawk, if I recall correctly. We'll see. I think that's the case. But, until then, thanks very much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like. Hit subscribe, hit the notifications so you know when videos are coming up. Go over to my Patreon and subscribe there. That'll give you access to these videos before they make it to YouTube, usually a week or so in advance, maybe even more, because I think by the time I put this up, I'll be going on vacation, so I'll be able to do a bit of catch-up. We'll see. Also, all of the Blood Force stuff is there, so all of the individual pages, all of the finished comics, all 2 of them, as well as any extraneous stuff. And there's a bit there now. After that, you can go over to my Instagram and commission some artwork from me. Or just, hang out and lurk and check out the Inktober drawings, because I'll be putting those up every freaking day. No, it's fun. I'm finding out about all sorts of comics that I really didn't have any kind of knowledge of before. Axe Wielder John looks like something else. I'll tell you that. That's the one I'm working on today. And, holy shit, man. But, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.